We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth. And we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
How are things with the new guy?
All we do is go out to dinner.
That's it?
I mean, he picks up the tab every time, which is great.
Why? He's using you. He probably has a city thank you card and he gets 2 times the points at restaurants.
So he's just racking up points with me.
Some people.
Ugh.
No, I got it.
The City Thank You Preferred Card. Now earn 2 times the points on dining out and entertainment with no annual fee. To apply, go to city.com/thankyoucards.
The design of the Ford Escape is clearly intended to grab your eye. Oh, and your foot. Huh, ain't that a kick? The Ford Escape with the foot-activated liftgate. Go open up something interesting. Go further.
The moment you connect, you're no longer in control.
What does this guy want?
No claim, no statement.
We're facing a nuclear meltdown. This is only the beginning.
Black Cat, rated R.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by CitizensUnited.org.
time has come for our voices to be heard, for our borders to be secured, and our immigration laws enforced. Let's start the show in the correct fashion. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome to the Ruthie Report. Thank you for tuning in. All right, let's just jump right in. I am making sure that everything is running correctly here. We had a little bit of a problem getting going, but we're going to get right to it. Our guest this evening is Susan Tully. She is the National Field Director for the Federation for American Immigration Reform, what many of us refer to as FAIR. Their website is www.fairus.org, not .com, but .org. What we are going to be discussing is what is transpiring in Washington, D.C. in the forms of legislation and action to stop Obama's unconstitutional and lawless amnesty plan. We're going to discuss who's taking the lead, who's supporting the legislation, who's working against the will of the people, and more importantly, what we, the people, can do to help. Again, Susan will be joining us at the 9 o'clock hour. I have a lot of news for you this evening, so let's get right to it. Lead stories. Topping tonight's lead stories is this. The House of Representatives voted on Wednesday to overturn Obama's amnesty agenda through legislation for funding the Department of Homeland Security for the remainder of the year. What happens now is it now goes to the Senate. Epic Failure has threatened to veto it right off the bat. And Democrats such as Luis Gutierrez, and I have such disdain for that man, really, seriously, and others are fit to be tied. For example, North Carolina Representative David Price is screaming that DHS needs all of the funding due to the heightened security risks of our homeland. There is an easy solution. Fund DHS by scrapping amnesty. Problem solved. You and I have figured this out. Why have those who represent us not figured it out? We will have much more on this exclusively with our guest tonight, but we have so much other news to get to, so let's get right to it. Last week I shared with you subsidizing illegal aliens' car insurance, and this week it's health care. This is from Breitbart.com, dated January 10th. Health care for illegals pushes California's budget to $5.8 billion over inflation. Over the last 15 years, California racked up 3 small surpluses, 2 break-evens, and 10 huge deficits. The real reason money is tight is Brown and the Democratic legislature increased spending by 5% in a period when inflation is averaging 1.3%. California's proposed spending will jump $5.8 billion more than inflation. Jerry Brown tied to the sound fiscally responsive when he crowed that his budget project a $1.2 billion surplus, but he avoided addressing the out-of-control healthcare costs. Unmentioned in the governor's spending proposals are the healthcare costs for another million illegal adult immigrants residing in California that now are eligible for Medicaid enrollment, seeing that Obama expanded his executive order to include adults. The Department of Homeland Security has confirmed that DACA adult grantees that are lawfully present in the United States, and now California is responsible to provide Medicare coverage for another 1 million adult illegal aliens. but proposing to spend $5.8 billion with a B more than inflation and dramatically underestimating the health care costs means California may soon be back in serious financial trouble. You know, why are we subsidizing health care for illegal aliens to begin with? Why? Why is no one reporting that they already have health care coverage? Through the EMTALA Act. Look it up. EMTALA. The EMTALA Act, which simply put, there's a lot to it, but simply put, says that no one can be turned away or denied adequate health care. So they already have it, folks. For all of you that are paying an increase in health care, what say you seeing that those increases that you are paying each month are helping to cover illegal aliens? What say you? Next, this is from Yahoo News. It's dated today. It's out of Santa Ana, California. This is going to just toast your muffins. The Mexican government Thursday will start issuing birth certificates to its citizens at its consulates in the United States to make it easier for immigrants to obtain U.S. work permits, driver's license, and protection from deportation. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Oh, good Lord. Now, even as the Republicans in Congress are trying to undo Obama's plan to protect these illegal aliens living in the U.S., Mexico is trying to help them apply for the programs that would allow them to remain temporarily in the country, because remember, it's only for 2 years, and continue sending money back home to relatives across the border. There's the rub, folks. That's the rub. About 2 weeks ago, California, which is home to more Mexicans than any other state, began issuing driver's license to immigrants who are in the country illegally. Starting Thursday, Mexico's 50 consulates in the United States will be able to get access to data maintained by regional governments in Mexico and print birth certificates. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is per Arturo Sanchez, the Consul for Press and Commercial Affairs out of Santa Ana, California. Representative Duncan Hunter, who represents the San Diego area congressional district, complained that the U.S. and Mexican policies have combined to send more people across the border illegally. He said, quote unquote, the administration's position and efforts seem better aligned with Mexico's interest than they do with our own, and that is disappointing, end quote. Unbelievable. Mexican migrant workers living abroad, do you know how much they sent home in the fiscal year of 2013? $21.6 billion with a B dollars to their family, according to the country's central bank. Do you believe this crap? Do you believe it? Now, we apparently will accept Mexico's documentation for their citizens, our illegal aliens. Our illegal aliens. I can't hardly believe it. Here's a message to all of you illegally living in the United States from Mexico. Go ahead and have the corrupt country of Mexico send you your birth certificates. Then, when you return to your beloved homeland, you will already have them to start the legal process. I'm talking about the deportation buses warming up. You know, I wonder how many of Mexico's undesirables and money donors will receive doctored birth certificates. You guys want to take a guess at this? Why Where is Congress on this? Where is anybody stopping this nonsense? I don't understand. I don't understand. While Obama's up there playing king and the House is trying to stop him, all of this other stuff is going on behind the scenes. Discounted car insurance and health care, and Mexico's going to give us documentation, and nobody does a thing to stop it. It's a travesty. It's treason. It's borderline treason, folks. Now, on the employment front, I have 3 articles for you. The first is from Breitbart, and this isn't going to make your day either. On Monday, it's dated January 12th. On Monday's Laura Ingram's show, Senator John Hoeven, a Republican from North Dakota, reported that illegal immigrants would be eligible to work on the Keystone Pipeline unless Congress defunds the president's executive action on illegal immigration. Initially, he said, well, under the law, you've got to have a work permit. However, once it was pointed out to him that illegal aliens are eligible for work permits under Obama's executive action, he responded with this, and I quote, "Starting with my opinion as how it should be done, but yes, unless we are able to defund or block Obama's amnesty executive order, yes, they would be able to work on various, I guess, any project," end quote. Our second item for this evening is from the Center for Immigration Studies.org. Agribusiness lobbyists have second thoughts about executive amnesty. It's dated January 13th. The old adage warns, be careful what you wish for. So we have a flashback to 2005 when the Agricultural Coalition for Immigration Reform was telling people that amnesty for illegal aliens will allow them to meet their shortages. Now we have a flash forward to 2015. When the president's executive amnesty gives them what they wished, prayed, campaigned, and lobbied for. A pool of newly legal workers. And a bonus, since up to 85% of California's agricultural workers are illegally in the United States, you would think that they would be overjoyed, wouldn't you? Well, not exactly. Because 50,000 of the state's farm workers could leave the fields and packing houses in California's $46.4 billion agricultural industry. Why, folks? Because why would they go out and pick the crops if now they get to stay, they get a pass, they get everything the U.S. citizen has, and they can come and take our jobs and not work in the fields? Meaning, I suppose the agricultural industry will have to wait for the new wave of illegal aliens, seeing no one will secure the damn border. And number 3, from Breitbart.com, dated January 13th. On Tuesday, 3 Republican senators joined 3 Democrats to introduce legislation that would expand the number of guest workers for the tech industry, even though there is a surplus of American high-tech workers. Get this name. Get this. The Immigration Innovation, or called I-Square, bill was introduced by Hatch, Flake, Rubio, Klobuchar, Coons of Delaware, and Blumenthal that would enable companies to hire an unlimited number of workers with advanced degrees from U.S. institutions in science, technology, engineering, and math, which what STEM stands for, which critics say would turn some universities into diploma factories for foreign students. Currently, the first 20,000 H-1B applications for those with STEM degrees are exempt. There's a whole bunch of additional perks to what they're going to do. For example, they're going to increase the annual cap of H-1B visas from 65,000 to 115,000 and so on. Senator Jeff Sessions noted in his immigration roadmap for the new Republican Congress that, are you ready? Here's a stat. A stunning 3 in 4 Americans with STEM degrees do not hold a job in a STEM field. That is a pool of more than 11 million Americans with STEM qualifications who lack STEM employment. He said, and I quote, "It is understandable why these corporations push for legislation that will flood the labor market and keep pay low. What is not understandable is why we would ever consider advancing legislation that provides jobs for the citizens of other countries at the expense of our own. Who do we work for?" End quote. That is an excellent question, folks. Excellent. 11 million STEM Americans unemployed, but these 6 senators are calling for foreigners to come on in. This is so completely unacceptable and borderline treason. I don't understand how they don't get it that we see this. It's an insult to our intelligence, folks. But here's for all you unemployed STEMs. Here's a question. Are you glad while you remain silent on what is happening because you won't get involved, you won't raise your voices, you won't scream I'm unemployed and I'm a STEM grad? Are you happy while you're still working at McDonald's? While other people are coming into this country and taking your jobs, you get to sit on the unemployment line. Congratulations. It's about time you speak up. Also on the unemployment, there is one other one. This is at the WashingtonExaminer.com. And it's coming up, Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. So this is relevant here. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. enlisted to fight illegal immigration. The late Martin Luther King Jr. and his I Have a Dream speech are being used in an effort to fight Obama's executive action to grant worker amnesty to millions of illegal immigrants. At issue, jobs taken by illegals that America's minorities, especially blacks and legal Hispanics, need. Finally, someone is getting the message out, folks. Finally. This is what's happening. Was that Dr. King's dream? Asked the ad produced by Californians for Population Stabilization. And I'm going to try to get them on the program in February. I'm already booked for January, but we're going to try to get Caps on in February. Okay, it said the ad is produced by Californians for Population Stabilization and launched this week on national cable news networks leading up to Monday's celebration for Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. The announcer asks how Dr. King would feel about the 19% of African Americans or underemployed. The commercial concludes with, "Was that Dr. King's dream?" It's about time somebody's getting it out there. Let's hope. I wonder what the NAACP has to say about that. All right. Now, this one should knock your socks off. What are we doing on time here? We are going to, let's see here. There's a good article I'd like you to look up. It's at the dcgazette.com. The title is Linked Immigration Enforcement Documents Outlined. Dictate Border Patrol Policies. Again, that's at the dcgazette.com. let's see here. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, we are going to have our criminally and or insane segment. We're going to get to as much of it as we possibly can. Please stay tuned. We will be right back.
Hey, this is Craig Andreessen from thenationalpatriot.com. Diane Sori from thepatriotfactor.com and I are the Right Side Patriots right here on the CPR Worldwide Media Network every Wednesday and Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern. Right Side Patriots is all about hard-hitting news and commentary, and you never know who's going to stop by, but I'll guarantee you this, our guests will always be in the news. Now, believe it or not, we still have rights, and Diane and I are committed to letting you know what's happening to our country and how we can take our country back. Sometimes we're accused of preaching to the choir, but the way we look at it, sometimes you gotta wake the choir up. Besides, we know our enemies, foreign and domestic, are listening too, and as long as we're taking flack from them, we know we're directly over the target. Diane and I will mix in a little music with our Take No Prisoners approach to the news, and we'll have some laughs while we're doing it. Here at CPR Worldwide Media, Constitutional Patriot Radio, we're working hard every day to bring you the very best in conservative talk radio, live DJ music and entertainment shows, and even gospel shows on Sundays. But make plans to join Diane Sori and me, Craig Andreessen, every Wednesday and Saturday from 2 to 4 Eastern here on the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station for Right Side Patriots. And let's take our country back.
Since the government has refused to protect our southern border from illegal immigrants, what can be done? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, it is encouraging to see that Texas and 16 other states have decided to take legal action against the Obama administration. Texas Governor-elect Greg Abbott explained to CNS News recently that the president's unilateral executive action to grant amnesty to millions of illegal immigrants tramples the U.S. Constitution's Take Care Clause and federal law. The Constitution's Take Care Clause limits the president's power and ensures that he will faithfully execute Congress's laws, not rewrite them under the guise of prosecutorial discretion. The legal complaint points out that Obama had admitted in a speech in Chicago that he had in fact changed the law. Also on November 20th of this year, the president announced he would unilaterally suspend the immigration laws as applied to 4 million undocumented or illegal immigrants in the United States. Here's hoping that the rule of law will be reestablished and that finally the federal government will either willingly or through legal edict protect and seal our borders from foreign invaders. I'm Ron Edwards.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Why do cities shine so bright? It's the glow of opportunities, of ideas bouncing off one another, of countless people, every one of us, striving to succeed. Right now, in cities everywhere, ideas are being born. New thinking that will put us in awe of what people are capable of. That's what lights cities up. And helping people and their ideas to burn even brighter. So that communities, businesses, and you and I can grow. What if a bank made that its job? For more than 200 years, Citi's job has been to help empower people and business. Now, around the world, it's wherever people gather, wherever ideas come alive. It's wherever you are. The world's city.
The most amazing thing about the Ford Fusion isn't the way it looks. The most amazing thing is the way it sees. With blind spot technology, a lane keeping system, and a standard rear view camera, the Fusion is ready for whatever comes your way. Go prepared. Go further.
The moment you connect, you're no longer in control.
What does this guy want? No claim, no statement.
We're facing a nuclear meltdown. This is only the beginning.
Black Hat, rated R.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Welcome back to the Ruthie Report. Thank you for tuning in. Let's get to tonight's criminally and or insane segment. Right off the get-go, this is from Fox News and it's dated January 9th. The title is California Newspaper Office Vandalized Over the Use of Illegal Immigrant Label. This is unbelievable. The headquarters of the Santa Barbara News Press in California was vandalized, apparently by pro-illegal immigration advocates. The California newspaper will continue to use the term illegals to describe people who entered the United States without permission, despite an attack on its building by vandals believed to object to the term. The Santa Barbara News Press front entrance was sprayed with a message that said, "The border is illegal, not the people who crossed it," in red. The attack came amid wider objections to a news press headline that used the word illegals alongside a story of California granting driver's license to people living in the country illegally. In a statement, the newspaper said, it has no plans to drop its style of describing illegal immigrants. It said, quote, unquote. It has been the practice for nearly 10 years at the Santa Barbara News Press to describe people living in this country illegally as illegals, regardless of their country of origin. It is an appropriate term in describing someone as illegal if they are in this country illegally, end quote. That's refreshing. That is almost a good news story. You know, if I lived anywhere near Santa Barbara, folks, I would subscribe to the paper just on principle. Just on principle. And I thank them for using the correct term and not bowing down to the political correctness bullcrap. So, we have illegal aliens and their lawless supporters vandalizing a newspaper building because they didn't like what they printed. Gee, a recent attack in Paris comes to mind. You think that's a far stretch? Not really. In Mexico, the media, specifically newspapers, have been stopped. They have stopped altogether reporting on the cartel news after their offices have been bombed and shot up, plus more. This Santa Barbara incident is a prime example of the increased violence when you cower down and pander to the lawlessness. How long before it starts here, folks? Oh, it was just a little red paint this time. Think about it. Just think about it. All right. We're going to get to this article I wanted to get to in the first segment real quick here. Last week I shared with you the son of a cartel member that was busted for smuggling ammo and weapons into Mexico. And now you have this. You can't make it up. You can't make this stuff up. From Fast and Furious to this smuggler to this. This is by a Francesca Chambers at the dailymail.com, and you can find it posted at the tomhalloran.com. It's dated January 12th. Texas and 23 other states are trying to block Obama's recent announced immigration orders, and they are holding up the cost of providing unemployment insurance, education, health care, driver's license, and other programs to illegals as evidence the directives will cause irreparable damage if allowed to take place. The states are making a case, and the filing is submitted to Texas court ahead of a hearing on Thursday, at which they hope to obtain a preliminary injunction barring Obama from proceeding with its plans. Wisconsin, are you ready for this? Wisconsin is also claiming that illegal immigrants residing in the Badger State will be able to get conceal carry permits as a result of Obama's unilateral action. States are saying that President Obama's immigration directives will cost untold millions, and they are trying to block it through the courts. Driver's license alone will cost millions. States participating in the legal challenge argued. Separately, Wisconsin is claiming that Obama's executive order will allow otherwise qualified illegal immigrants to apply for concealed carry permits for handguns. The cost to the state is immense, said Wisconsin's then Attorney General Van Hollen. We have certain things under this law that we have to provide to these 4 to 5 million national illegal immigrants, such as driver's license. They will get social security numbers. They will get work permits, unemployment benefits, he claims. In addition, Van Hollen, who exited the office, said, importantly, in Wisconsin, where we have permits for concealed carry of firearms, they are going to be able to lawfully carry firearms even if they're not lawfully in the country. A spokeswoman for the AG's office confirmed to Mail Online at the time of the appearance that illegal immigrants who meet the requirements for concealed carry will be able to apply for the permits. Are you kidding me? Really? Dianne Feinstein must just be coming unglued. Not only is she losing the battle to strip Americans of their Second Amendment rights, now illegal aliens will be armed and carrying. Why is this lawlessness being allowed? Why? How can we allow individuals we know nothing about, except for what they are telling us, to be armed while constantly attacking the law-abiding American gun owner? The lawlessness, not to mention the national security risks, are monumental. Who is in charge? And why are they allowing this to happen? Wake up, America. What in the... You talk about national security and the heightened security risks out of one side of your mouth, and then you're going to reward illegal aliens by the millions. Such nonsense. Last week I shared with you a 17-year-old that was selling social security numbers and birth certificates on Facebook. This week, we have this, which is even more unbelievable. It's dated January 13th by Dave Gibson at the illegalaliencrimereport.com. Illegal Alien Document Mill was using actual ICE forms. I kid you not. This is out of Newark, New Jersey by the AP. A former northern New Jersey resident who authorities say ran a multi-state scheme that provided fake driver's license and other documents to people illegally in the country has been sentenced to prison. A federal judge sentenced Young Caillou Park to 6 years in prison on Thursday. The 58-year-old former resident of Fort Lee was one of nearly 24 people charged in June of 2012. He was living in Los Angeles at the time of his arrest. U.S. Attorney's Office alleged that Park obtained blank immigration forms that were then filled out with customers' personal information and used to procure driver's license and other forms of identification. The ring also produced counterfeit documents, including passports. Isn't this wonderful? It gives you that warm, snuggly feeling, doesn't it? Park allegedly had a confederate in his California who was able to steal genuine immigration forms from a federal warehouse. Well, I'm so glad to know that those are really safe and kept well and under key, huh? In addition to his prison term, Park has been ordered to forfeit $1.2 million. Gee, I wonder how much he made. End of article. Is anybody besides me wonder just who this criminal sold all the fake documents to? Anybody else besides me curious? Anyone entering legally wouldn't need to buy the fake ID. And an additional important question would be this, folks. Is anybody investigating or hunting down those who purchased this fraudulent identification? Or are they just scot-free to roam the country, living amongst us because they spent $50 for a fake fraudulent identification? Lost in the crowd, with no one knowing who they really are or their true intent, such as to rob the country blind or to blow it up. I'm serious. Somebody should ask the Department of Homeland Security that. Seeing that we arrest the guy who did it, we're fining him $1.2 million, but is anybody looking for the people that bought it? Jeez. Moving on. Just a second here. I seem to be... we'll just keep going here. This next item. First, before I begin, I have several items here from Dave Gibson from the Alien Crime Report. And I thank him very much for everything he does day in and day out to keep us informed. Good friend, fellow patriot, and I thank him for his service. Okay, this one is illegal alien charged with murder, dated the 8th of January, out of Harlingen, Texas. A man arrested in connection with Friday night's fatal shooting of a 19-year-old Wesco man at a hotel has been arraigned on first-degree felony murder charges. Sergio Oliveras, 63, was formerly charged under that name, but the Sergeant David Osborne believes that he is a Mexican national using an assumed name. Go figure. The Cameron County District Attorney's Office advised that he should be charged under that name until his true identity is determined. Osborne said that police responded to the Arlington Hotel and Event Center where shots were reported fired. At the hotel, officers found a woman that was struck in the face and upper torso with bird shots fired from a shotgun. She was treated at a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Investigators believe that Sergio was living at the hotel and confronted Eduardo Zapata. Police say that Sergio was armed with a handgun while Zapata had a shotgun. The men exchanged gunfire in the hotel hallway. Isn't this wonderful? What we're bringing into the country. Oh, man. In the hotel hallway, according to the police, who have not determined the reason for the gun battle. Zapata's body was found a few hundred feet from the scene of the shooting with his shotgun nearby. With the assistance of U.S. Marshals Service, Sergio Olivas was caught Saturday in Brownsville and was arrested. So warm and snuggly. Next, illegal alien charged with molesting a 6-year-old boy. Again from Dave Gibson, Illegal Alien Crime Report, dated the 9th. Harlingen, Texas. Cameron County Sheriff's deputies arrested Samuel Cervantes, 28, after he reportedly sexually assaulted a 6-year-old boy at least 3 times in recent weeks. Police have yet to reveal just how he gained access to the child. He has been charged with continuous sexual abuse of a child as well as evading arrest. He is currently being held in the Cameron County Jail on an ICE detainer. If convicted, the illegal alien could face 99 years in prison. I have a better solution, but we'll let it play out. Now, remember, next week, folks, my guest is James Johnson from the North Carolina Fire, NC Fire. Look it up, ncfire.org. His reports on child rape and assault just in North Carolina, just children, just at the hands of illegal aliens will anger and nauseate you. I have had him on the program before. It is heart-wrenching. You don't want to miss it. James will be our guest next week. All right, here is another life that is permanently terminated due to the blind eye of the lawlessness at hand. This is by Dave Gibson again. The title is 80-Year-Old Woman Killed by Human Traffickers Near Border, dated the 9th. This is out of Tucson, Arizona. The Pima County Sheriff's Department is investigating a deadly crash southwest of Tucson. Pima County Sheriff's deputies say that a 30-year-old William Hubie and a 25-year-old Robert Butcher have been arrested in that crash. Investigators said an unmarked patrol vehicle was heading south on Sieta Mountain Road when it spotted a suspicious vehicle. When agents turned around to check on the vehicle, the driver sped off. They told Border Patrol did not chase after the car, but when agents caught up to it, they saw it crashed into another car. The driver and front seat passenger of the suspicious vehicle ran into the desert. but were eventually caught by Border Patrol agents and arrested by sheriff's deputies. The two passengers in the back seat were undocumented immigrants, or what we call illegal aliens. One of the women in the car, the other car, 80-year-old Gracie Baldwin, died on the way to the hospital. The driver of that car suffered non-life-threatening injuries. You know, folks, why? Why, and how many more? How many more lost lives and families forever impacted? I, for one, am ever so tired of this human collateral role that this administration, Congress, and our state representatives have placed the American citizenry in. All in the name of the unlawful illegal alien. Why? Our condolences to the Baldwin family. And last, let's see, we have approximately 4 minutes, so we'll get to this right away. This just shows how far the lawlessness has gone. This is the title. It's from thenewsherald.com. It's dated January 13th. It's dated January 13th. The title is 13 Indicted for Alleged Drug Ring Run from Ohio's Prisons. I kid you not. A man who has been serving a long sentence on drug-related charges has been indicted on charges he led a drug ring from his prison cell. Good God, folks. Fernando Auces, A-U-C-E-S, 50, is accused along with 12 others of being involved in a drug conspiracy that led to large quantities of heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine being distributed to cities across Ohio. It just goes on and on and on here, folks. I'm just going to skip through this really quick just to save us a little time, but this prison-run drug ring operated at least from July of 2010 to August of 2014. 4 years! Are you kidding me? He is accused of reaching an agreement with Alexander Gonzalez, a 38-year-old Ohio prisoner, to share Gonzalez's customers and drug distribution network. Gonzalez received a 20-year prison sentence in Cincinnati for trafficking crack and powder cocaine. This is unbelievable. Several of the other defendants have since been imprisoned themselves, including one of Aussie's lieutenants who had been caught several times entering the United States illegally from Mexico. And on top of it, from mysanantonio.com, we have the title, Texas Jail Spent $77 million housing undocumented immigrants just for the fiscal year of 2014. That is dated January 16th. You can find it at mysanantonio.com. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Seriously? Stop with the judicial nonsense unless it's a serious crime and deport their carcasses. How much simpler can we say this? They are in the country illegally. And you and I, the American taxpayer, are paying for their comfortable jail housing at the tune of $77 million just in Texas, just in county jails, just for 12 months. Stop jail crowding and raping the American citizen for illegal aliens and enforce our laws and deport them. then, just maybe then, we could focus on our own, such as the homeless veterans, unemployed and homeless Americans. This is ridiculous. We're giving them 3 meals a day and a warm bed. We are going to take our second break. When we come back, it will be my honor to be joined by Susan Tully from FAIR. Please stay tuned. We will be right back.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
When I'm training, I always listen to music. For the gym, it's hip-hop. For cross-country, classical. And for jumps, I need something special. So I use my Citi Thank You Visa card for music downloads and earn 2 times the points. Plus, a little extra inspiration.
Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
The Citi Thank You Preferred Visa card. Earn 2 times the points on entertainment and dining out with no annual fee. Citi, with you every step of the way.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
The moment you connect, you're no longer in control.
What does this guy want? No claim, no statement.
We're facing a nuclear meltdown.
This is only the beginning.
Black Hat, rated R. However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you. His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here. We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
who is the Olympic athlete?
His faith would not be broken. Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis. On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it. Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Welcome back to the Ruthie Report. Thank you for tuning in. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite our guest this evening on the program, Susan Tully for the Federation for American Immigration Reform. Are you with us, Susan?
I am, Ruthie.
Hello. I would just like to say that Susan Tully and I have had the honor of speaking at several events together and a couple of lunches together. I consider her a fellow sister patriot and a good friend, and thank you so much for being on the program.
Well, it's my pleasure. And don't forget the great rally down in Postville, Iowa.
Postville, yes. I did say that last week, actually, and we've done this and that, but thank you for being on the program. I tell you what I would like to do is to start with, would you share a little bit about yourself, who you are, for those that are first-time listeners, and your website, and then we can go ahead and just jump right in.
Well, I'm the National Field Director for FAIR, the Federation for American Immigration Reform. You can find us at FAIR, FAIRUS.org. We've been around for 35 years, Ruthie. We're the biggest, oldest immigration watchdog group in the country. We're nonprofit, nonpartisan, based in Washington, D.C. We have a lot of input on the good bills that go on in Washington. We've had a lot of impact on the good state bills that have taken place around the country, including the Arizona law. And so, we'd be happy to have people go to our website, take a look. Again, it's fairus.org.
Yes. Now, and remember, it's .org, not .com. A lot of people go to .com, don't get it, and then they give up. So, www.fairus.org. All right. So now, what I have told the listeners at the top of the program this evening is what you and I are going to talk about tonight, discuss, is what is transpiring in Washington, D.C. in the form of legislation and actions to stop Obama's unconstitutional and lawless amnesty plan. And FAIR does put out, for those of you that are unfamiliar with FAIR, FAIR does send out emails, and I have several of them in front of me here about the actions that took place on Wednesday. Susan, can you give us kind of a summary of where FAIR, your thoughts, and where FAIR stands on what is transpired yesterday in the House?
Okay, so what they did was they actually took the appropriations bill and they placed amendments on it, as opposed to passing a brand new bill. They took the appropriations bill, and in the part that would fund DHS, they have defunded all of the amnesty that Obama has done by executive action. They have defunded any future DACA programs. So if some of these kids who have been quote-unquote legalized, they're not really legalized, they've been pardoned, they've been given 2-year pardons, they've renewed that once, they will not be allowed to do that again if these amendments pass. And so it's good. It's the best we've seen come out of the House, in probably a long, long time. They could have been tougher, probably in a couple other ways if they'd have written a bill, but it's a good start. It's basically just defunding everything that Obama's done. We need it to pass the Senate. And so we're going to need to find about 6 Democratic votes to get this done. And so, actually, there's some senators like Mike Lee from Utah who believes this is possible. And
they do.
So this has to be done. With everything that's taken place in Paris over the last week, and today with the attacks in Belgium, the thought of legalizing 4 to 5 million people by administrative amnesty, and what this will mean, folks, is there's no way there will be adequate backgrounding of any of these people. It will be more than likely a rubber stamp. That has been what has been proposed in the Gang of 8 bill in the past. They would only have 24, 48 hours, depending on which bills you're talking about, for them to actually do background checks. Ruthie, the police department can't do a background check in 24 hours. So there's no way DHS is going to do a background check in 24 hours of 4 to 5 million people after they apply. It's going to become a rubber stamp. And there is just no way the American people can afford to allow any more people in this country. We already have We don't know 13, 20, 30 million people here illegally. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they're capable of doing. This is the absolute worst thing that could happen to us. So we have to convince people to sign on to this bill and get this defunded.
A couple of thoughts. First, I would be remiss if I didn't say, because I have been pounding on Congress. I mean, I have really seriously been pounding on them for the House to step up to the plate and actually do this. You know, when they do something right, we should thank them. Instead of always, it seems like the only time we ever make any phone calls or emails is when it's a negative thing or telling them what we, the people, want. And now they've actually taken this step. I agree with you. It could have been tougher, but you know what? It's not bad. It's not bad. If we could get this passed, the message will be sent. So first, thanks to the House for stepping up to the plate. Let's hope that the Senate has the same canolas to do so. As for your background checks on the illegals, just to get right down to it, what an insult to our intelligence. For these people in Washington, D.C., to say this garbage to us, that they're going to have their backgrounds checked when they're not enforcing the law now, it just... at some point in time, it just gets to be too much. But I did want to address the attacks in Belgium today. I was surprised to see that Belgium had stepped up to the plate and did this. But at the same time Belgium is doing this, we hear our government wants to or has released 5 more detainees from Guantanamo. And on top of it, Wisconsin is talking about how if this action goes through, if Obama gets his wish, illegal aliens in Wisconsin will be able to apply for concealed carry permits. We have no idea who is in the country. They spit on the rule of law to get here to begin with. We continue to reward them. We continue to turn a blind eye. We rape the American taxpayer to pay for it, and now they're going to get to carry guns? Are you kidding me, Susan? I just don't get it.
Well, first of all, it just shows you that the level of uneducation on this issue and who these people are. Just because President Obama waves a magic wand doesn't mean everything's okay. He waves the magic wand, says these people are okay, we're going to give them whatever they want, and the states say, okay, great. Just let me, the problem with this is people in the state of Wisconsin, the elected officials at the state level, do not know this issue, do not know who these people are, and are trusting this administration to tell them that it's okay to do this. The bottom line is 16 to 28% of the people who come here illegally to begin with are fleeing their homeland because they've committed crimes. Some of them homicides, some of them rapes, some of them robberies. We don't know what their crimes are. When a legal immigrant applies in his homeland to come to the United States, the first thing that happens is he receives a consular background check, a criminal background check in his homeland by our consulate office there. Once he has gone through that whole system and his fingerprints and everything have been taken and he's cleared and he is not, guilty of any crimes, then he can apply and actually do what he needs to try to start the process here in the United States. When somebody has come here illegally, that process never takes place. So there is no opportunity to fingerprint them and run their background checks in their home of origin. And so what happens is we can simply check our databases and see if we have any crimes on record of these people. And the bills, Ruthie, that have been presented by the gang and everything in the past, they allow people who have committed felonies to remain in this country as part of the amnesty. Obama himself has turned loose more than 30,000 convicted criminals in last year alone. And 169 of them were convicted of murder. This man, it is just, what he is doing is unbelievable. And the American people need to wake up. And the legislators around the country need to be aware that these are the people who will be applying for amnesty, will get a rubber stamp, and the next thing that's going to happen is states are going to be giving them benefits and licenses to carry guns.
Yeah, I just, first of all, the first thing when I read that, honestly, when I read that, the first thing that popped in my head is Dianne Feinstein, who attacks the Second Amendment all of the time, attacks the Second Amendment all of the time, has to just be going insane. Not only is she losing her battle against the American gun owner, the lawful American gun owner, now illegal aliens will be able to carry. She must be turning over at night when she goes to sleep. But, the whole thing, like with the 36,000 that he released, see, that's another thing. They keep telling us that they're going to enforce the law and they're going to have these priorities. There's actually a list out now of who they're going to arrest and who law enforcement is supposed to look at, which means absolutely nothing. It's not worth the paper it's written on because they don't enforce the law now. They have no way of knowing who these people are except for what they tell them. This 30-year-old that says he's 17, so he gets in here under the child, at the border invasion. This kind of a thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And out of those, the 169 that you mentioned, that were released that had committed murder, a Minnesota group actually was able to track, and I'm not sure if it was FAIR or who that sent it to me, but 5 of them were in Minnesota that we know of, and one of them is 30 miles away from me. They're setting these people free in the dark of night, giving them a bus ticket to nowhere in the USA, you don't know where, and they're letting them go. At the same time, they're going to tell us they're going to enforce the law and they're going to secure the border. Susan, if they wanted the border secured, it would be. They don't want it secured.
Well, and don't forget, through all of the stuff that Obama's done, he's killed secure communities, which was our only hope of getting local law enforcement to cooperate. They've gone after cities who have actually cooperated on ICE detainers. This administration has done everything to undermine enforcement. There is no reason to believe that that's going to change. It's going to be absolutely critical that the people who are listening here tonight do everything they can to convince members of the Senate to let their neighbors, their family members know in other states that they have to join in with us to absolutely demand that this administrative amnesty and DACA be defunded. This president has emboldened thousands more people to come here just because of what he's doing. We have been told over the last couple weeks that things are ramping up again once again down the border, that these unaccompanied minors and the surge of people coming through the borders are coming in masses again because they are hoping somehow to qualify under all of the administrative amnesties that this man is doing on his own.
It's unbelievable when you talk about the surge that's coming up. I actually wrote a piece and posted it. It drives me insane that while this debate for funding of DHS plays out, Jay Johnson says that he needs all of the funding to secure the homeland. Well, don't tell me that you need all of this funding to secure the homeland when the Weekly Standard, when was this? I don't have the date on here. When the Weekly Standard just a couple of weeks ago put out an article that just 2 days before Christmas, HHS, the Health and Human Services, took the first steps. As the article quotes, they took the first step to prepare for the possible surge of unaccompanied minors in 2015. They posted a SOTS services to gather information on contract surge capability and capacity. Don't tell me that you are going to need all of this money to secure the homeland when you have another department within this administration planning on this summer surge of unaccompanied illegal alien children. Susan,
And you just made me think of another thing. One of the arguments you're going to hear people say is, well, but I can't vote to fund this because it will defund the Department of Homeland Security. That is not right. These amendments defund only the amnesty portion. What would happen is then this bill would go up to the president if it's passed by the Senate as well. And he will have to make a decision. If he vetoes it, he vetoes all the funding for the Department of Homeland Security. But that's his choice. So that would mean to the American people that amnesty is more important to him than national security. Because this bill still keeps all of the funding that is needed for national security. It simply defunds amnesty. So it is time that the Senate go ahead and send this bill on up to him, and let's wait and see if the president is willing to put all national security at risk in order to get amnesty, because that's the position he would be in.
Yeah, and you know, I'm so tired of hearing, first of all the BS from epic failure that we're going to cooperate, and then the very first thing out of his mouth is how we're going to veto it. We have Luis Gutierrez and what was the North Carolina representative saying, it's paramount for Homeland Security. Well, it is a simple solution, Susan. You have it exactly right. We're not talking about defunding the Department of Homeland Security. What the House just voted on, and what we really, really, really need the Senate to step up with some canolas and pass as well, is they don't fund amnesty. Everything else gets funded, but not amnesty. What an oxymoron it would be to fund the amnesty when we don't know who these people are. There's terrorists that could be here that are buying fraudulent documents from fraudulent mills that will never get checked out, but we're being told, as the Weekly Standard is reporting they're preparing for a surge, as we hear that they're going to have background check in 24 hours, which you and I know cannot happen, but they need all of the money for Homeland Security.
Well, and don't forget that he's busy right now hiring over 1,000 people to be able to process the paperwork for these people who are going to be applying for amnesty. So he's found money to hire over 1,000 people to spend all of the money to process them. But we're being told at the same time there's not going to be adequate money or personnel to even process our income tax refunds or get refunds to us in a timely manner this year, because this president is putting everything on the line in order to legalize people who have broken our law to come here, who have broken our law to stay here. Each and every day they stay here, Ruthie, it is a misdemeanor. They have broken our law to take jobs they're not legally entitled to hold, and they're breaking the law every time they're driving a car and don't have a legitimate driver's license, and everything else that they do. And so this idea that they're just people who want to come here for a better life, they have a pattern of lawlessness, and it doesn't stop just because you give them amnesty.
Yep, and I have argued, and I will continue to argue until we have won this battle. But instead of invading another country, why not stay in your own beloved homeland or wherever it's from, like we, the people of the United States, are doing, and fight for change there instead of coming and making your unlawful demands here? I just don't get it. But let's move forward here now. Several questions. Before we get to what is actually in what the House passed, and I have it in front of me what Ferris put out, but before we get to the specifics, what do you believe, what does FAIR believe are the chances that the Senate will indeed pass this?
Well, I wish if I had a crystal ball, I'd be making a whole lot more money than I'm making. There's no way to predict this because, Adderholt actually had a bill. We thought the chances were pretty good of getting that bill to the table, and then at the last minute they turned it into amendments on the appropriations bill as opposed to a standalone bill. What we're really up against here are Republicans who have sold out to big business, the people who hire illegal aliens, the big businesses who count on them as cheap labor, don't pay workman's comp, don't pay the 7.5% of Social Security for those workers, and right on down the line. You have to understand that these people represent also to Obama a whole bunch of people that would qualify for Obamacare, that would help salvage that dying and terrible piece of legislation. So I honestly think that's what's behind his push to try to get these people legalized so they would all qualify for Obamacare, because currently as illegal aliens they do not. And so there's all of these incentives for employers to push to keep to keep this flow of illegal aliens here. And so I don't trust the Senate. I didn't trust the House. I don't trust the Senate. I don't trust these people to do the job they've been sent to Washington to do, because they have been bought out by big business. A lot of them have.
Now, you said before that we would need 6 Democrats to come over. Are you saying that we would have to have every single Republican and 6 Democrats for this to pass, or we just need 6 as a buffer?
No, I think it's 6 to make it veto-proof.
Veto-proof. Okay. Veto-proof, yeah. It could pass, but then he would veto it, and then we'd have to override the veto.
So they're looking for the support. And yes, every one of those Republicans is going to have to vote for this. And so we're talking people who have lined up in the past to give amnesty themselves. John McCain, Marco Rubio, the Gang of 8.
That leads me.
Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
These are the people that we have to count on to do the right thing. And
do you know when this will be heading to the Senate?
We believe that there could be a vote on this as early as next week.
Really? That
Tuesday,
fast?
Wednesday. Yes, possibly.
Okay. And FAIR will at your site, or through emails, we'll have the information as everybody else is doing. All of us are kind of in tune of keeping everybody informed, but if they went to your site, they could find all of this information and what to do. And now, getting back to go ahead.
Also, though, let's just say, just because time is of the essence when these things come up for a vote, and making phone calls are important. Because in 2007, we melted down a switchboard in Washington, D.C., and those people were afraid to pass amnesty because of what happened. So I really encourage your listeners to make those phone calls. Go to our website. You can sign up for our alerts, and we'll send them to you right to your email box. But we have phone apps also. So you can go get the phone app, the Fair Phone app, if you have an iPhone, or if you have a couple of the other ones. I'm not sure if we have programming for all of them, but go check out your app store, see if there's a Fair app, and you can download the app, and we send alerts right to your phone. And it's as easy as touching a button, and it makes the phone call for you, and you simply say, I support defunding amnesty.
Wonderful. Now, getting back, because I'm a little fuzzy on how this is going to go, and I'm assuming that if I am, there might be some listeners that are as well. It's passed the House, just barely, by 9, but now when it gets to the Senate, and correct me if I'm wrong here, or if you have a better way of putting this, but the Senate could pass it, and it can pass, but it would not be veto proof. So then it would go to Obama, who could veto it, and then what would happen? If he vetoes it, then can the House and the Senate then pass something to override his veto, and I understand what you're saying.
The Senate can.
The Senate.
The Senate can override his veto.
Just the Senate.
There's a multiple ways this could go. So the House has passed it. What we want is the Senate to pass it without making changes to it. Because if they make changes to the appropriations bill, this part of it, then it can go back to a conference. And then they can change it again. So what we need is for this bill to sail through the Senate and then go on up to the president. Even if he vetoes it, then again, like I said, there would be the opportunity to override that veto. But the real message, what the people of this country need to see, is if this president is willing to put national security on the line in order to get his amnesty. So we really need to send this bill on up to him either way.
Okay. And do you want to give a percentage, or would you rather not? What your personal feeling is? I see stuff out there, and I think, geez, what an uphill battle we have. But then I read other things, and I think, it depends on who's writing them, of course, but then I think, what? I think the citizenry is starting to wake up, and I think our representatives are finally getting it, and we could do this and, have return to the rule of law. But I don't know which way this is going to fall.
Well, and that's really what needs to happen, because there's a lot of people who have been highly offended by the abuse of power this president has used. And this administrative amnesty, he does not have the constitutional power to do it. This Congress has failed to do their job. We have a check and balance system here. When one of the branches of government goes off the reservation, the other branch of government is supposed to put them back in check. And so Congress should have put him in check for his abuse of power. They have not done this. This is a way for them to do that.
A long time ago. So there's been
a lot of people have been highly offended by his abuse of power, Democrats, Republicans alike, and this is their opportunity to put him back in check. And so we all need to be paying attention to who votes and how they vote on this as well, because that tells you about them doing their job. You see, the House and the Senate have failed to do their job by not putting him in check already.
Exactly. And on so many different issues. I mean, illegal immigration, you and I could do a show every day for an hour, Monday through Friday, and we still wouldn't be able to cover all of what's in the illegal immigration alone. And that's just one issue. Why they are not reining him in the I am king mode that he's in, I don't understand. I know that some of it is things that they would like to get, but at the same time, Congress is becoming irrelevant, because if he can just do whatever he wants and they can't stop him, what is the point of having a Congress?
Well, and so then you have to ask yourself, is this then a rogue government? if they're all operating outside of the Constitution, what is keeping anybody operating inside the Constitution?
Exactly.
Because that's how we're supposed to be functioning. So it's pretty scary territory, actually.
So now let's go into some of the specifics here. Here it is that from that David Price, he said that I was talking about before. He says he's a Democrat from North Carolina. He said he called the GOP's efforts a political vendetta, adding that it is irrepressible, reckless tactic which will compromise the already compromised the full and effective functioning of our Homeland Security Department at a time of heightened security risk. Well, my first question to Mr. Price would be, who's put us in this spot to begin with? If we didn't have millions of illegal aliens running around, we wouldn't be talking about this. And if we enforced our law, and the risk to our homeland would be greatly decreased. But I agree with you, and I just put it down. It's that we don't want to fund.
This is misinformation they're trying to spread. This is their scaremongering that somehow this is going to jeopardize funding of DHS. That only happens if the president vetoes the entire bill, as opposed to not vetoing it and letting the Homeland Security. So this would fall on the president, not on the people who have passed this bill. If he vetoes it, then yes, DHS is at risk of not having their funding. But if he doesn't veto it, there's no problem for DHS. So this is a lie that the Democrats are going to try to push to the American people, and it's going to be very important for them to understand that there's no defunding of DHS unless the president vetoes this bill.
Yep, and a talking point for those that will get involved and get on board is really simple. Fund DHS and not amnesty, problem solved. I mean, it really is that simple.
That's what this amendment does. So all we need is everybody to vote it in.
Yep.
But what they're saying is, well, we know the president's going to veto this, and therefore they're going to be risking DHS. No, the president will be risking DHS.
So now that brings me to my next question, and I'm really very curious myself what you think. I do have my own opinions, but say this does pass the Senate and it goes to Obama. Do you really think that he would indeed veto this with Homeland Security, with everything that's happening right now around the world on this planet? Do you think he would do that? And if he does, what happens with DHS and funding?
Well, I think you would see some emergency bill come up that they would that both the House and the Senate, or they might do the override, the veto override. I think they would have to. Do I think this president is capable? I think he's capable of doing anything, frankly. He scares me. Look, when he told the American people back in 2008 that he was going to fundamentally transform this nation, he's doing that. I don't know why anybody's surprised. He has done everything to undermine this nation. His wife said, when he was elected, that she's never been proud of America before. The Attorney General has made his statements about how much he dislikes this nation. He has filled his cabinet with people who hate what America stands for. Do I think he would put us at risk like that? I think everything he's doing is putting us at risk. I think it's calculated, and I think it's intentional.
Yep, I do too. I think it's, to simplify, I have much I could say on it, but to simplify it, us us privileged Americans. We just can't have that, and we have to bring in everybody else, and he's going to make sure. What he doesn't understand, what Obama doesn't understand, is that his legacy is going to be forever changed the next attack on our homeland. Unfortunately, I would like to believe that it's never going to happen again, but in reality, the next attack on our homeland, if it was by somebody who came across that southern border illegally, cartel help, the smugglers help, there goes Obama's whole career, his whole legacy. I mean, his,
But with who? But with who, Ruthie? Because the truth is, at this point, I'm not sure if he is trying to have a great legacy with the United States or for that of the Muslim world. Because, frankly, when he won't even call a radical Muslim, it makes you wonder who it is who he's supporting and who he's rooting for. Frankly, I think his legacy is not one that he could care less for what the Americans think about. He's more interested in supporting those who are trying to hurt and undermine the United States.
See, and I took a step back and I thought, the opportunity here for Obama really is, if this passes the Senate, if he was more smart and less stubborn, if this passes the Senate, he could take a step back and say, golly gee, seeing he's only said it a gazillion times that he can't do this on his own, he could take a step back, blame the Republicans, go for broke, and this would be an issue for the next Democratic candidate. It would be a win-win all the way around for this administration, but I just don't think that he's smart enough or the will is there to do it. I really don't.
Well, I just think that everything he's done has been to benefit the illegal aliens, not for the rule of law. In fact, it's not just that he has passed this amnesty. He has stopped all enforcement. He has tied the hands of Border Patrol and ICE. He has stopped any kind of litigation against them. Just about we keep hearing over and over and over again from Border Patrol agents who put these guys in the front of an immigration judge. They're coming out the other side with a work permit instead of being deported. So they're not deporting people; they're giving him work authorization. And so what I'm saying is, I think he has absolutely no intention of enforcing the law when it comes to immigration.
Well, and I can't understand why those that we elected to office really expect us to sit here and buy the nonsense that they have been spewing since 1986, that we're going to secure the border and we're going to enforce the law if we just do this one more time, when it's very obvious that, the secure the border is a talking point that they all say to get away from securing the border. Oh yeah, we got to secure the border, and they move right on. Do you see anybody doing anything to do that? I suppose not, when we have Obama sending a "everybody come on in" message because we're going to reward you. Now I have another thing I need to ask you.
What did you see come out of Saudi Arabia today? They're building 700 miles of a 5-layer fence to stop ISIS from coming into Saudi Arabia.
Good for them.
Them. Some people understand that there's a threat threat out there, and that fences and security are important, but not this president, not to the United States. That's what makes me say, it makes you wonder if his intention is actually to do anything that would be helpful to us, or everything to hurt us.
And I just forgot what I was going to ask you, but it'll come back to me. It'll come back. Anyway, so now let's look at this, if we can. I'm looking at a article on this that says that the first vote was a broad bill that would provide $40 billion with a B dollars to finance Homeland Security Department through the rest of the budget year. And that passed with a vote of 236 to 191. Why wasn't everybody on board on that one? I don't understand. That didn't have anything to do with the amnesty at that point.
Which bill was that? Was that Adderholt? Was that 191?
It was just a broad bill. It said. It didn't really list. Let me see if it says in yours. Well, I was confused by that. A broad bill. I don't understand why everybody wasn't on board to fund the Department of Homeland Security unless this is antics by the Democrats already because they knew what was coming ahead with the amendments. Then we have the amendment to the security bill that passed was approved by a vote of 237 to 190 that would undo the executive actions of Obama that he announced in November of giving temporary relief. That seemed okay. I mean, you can clearly see that this is bi-party. Then we get to the Second Amendment, and that's the one that barely passed. And what that was for the listeners is the Second Amendment would delete Obama's 2012 policy that granted work permits and stays of deportation for more than 600,000 immigrants who arrived in the United States illegally as children. That just barely passed with a vote of 218 to 209. Now, with that portion of the bill, and I think personally that is where the Senate is going to get hung up on it. I think that is, if it does not pass, that is going to be the problem. The issue for me is how do they know that these people were here? Oh, now I remember what I was going to ask you. I'll write it down so I can ask you in a moment. How are we proving that these children were actually here, brought in the United States illegally as children? How do we even know that if we don't have documentation? We're not going to the illegal parents and asking them, are we?
No, and let me tell you, DACA, what people need to understand is DACA covers, it's not just about children. That's what the Democrats are going to try to say. The reason it was narrowly passed was because they talk about it as if these are children. The truth of the matter is DACA covers people, in some cases, up to the age of 31, and I've heard in other cases even up to 50. So you have to understand it covers people who are in school. So you know what was happening, Ruthie, is that people were going down and enrolling in a class at the local high school for adult education or in a junior college in order to qualify for DACA. So don't let people, tell you that this is about children. It's not about children. A very small portion of this would actually be children. A very small portion of them are actually kids who came here and whose parents have been here and they've gone to school here. That's a very small number of this total, because this includes lots of adults who came here as adults.
Now, the question I was going to ask you, and this is another issue that I'd like to clear up because I'm reading conflicting information on this. Obama's action that he's put forth was to cover 4 to 5 million illegal aliens. However, there is reports out there that Jay Johnson has now said that this will be extended to anybody that has arrived prior to January 1st of 2015. I am confused by what I don't know if anybody really knows, but do you know who is this actually going to cover, to what time frame, and how? And we already know they won't be checked, but so it's really kind of a moot point. But how can DHS, Jay Johnson, come out and override what is not an executive order? Obama has not signed an executive order. It's all memos.
Yes, this has all been done by memos, and I don't think there's any way they know. If he says it's going to cover everybody before January 2015, that's everybody who's here. And that's all of the, the additional 70,000 unaccompanied minors who showed up last year. And don't forget, the minute you legalize it, all of these people, they are immediately eligible for all of the benefits. This is just, and it's like, this is a tipping point, for social services. I don't know that the states could do that, because don't forget, 75% of all of these costs for illegal immigration come back to the state and local. Only 25% are picked up by the federal government. It's just like him the other day granting, saying he's going to give free junior college educations to everybody. That's not his budget. Those budgets are paid for by the college districts. They're paid for by the states. They're paid for, by the local taxes. Federal government doesn't pay that. So, I mean, he's in a giveaway program of, you and I are going to pick up the tab for all this stuff, but none of it's coming out of the federal budget. It's all going to come out of the state and local level.
Okay, so now my last question, kind of moving forward, let's assume that those we elected to the Senate to represent we the people do the right thing. Let's say this passes, and it passes with the 6 Dems, so it is veto proof. What is actually then going, by what they've passed, what they put forward, the House and the Senate is now going to vote on, what would actually happen then? The DACA, I understand that they would have the 2-year relief, right? Because that's already put in, or are they removing that? And would we then really actually see enforcement of our laws? Like our prison systems are overcrowded with illegal aliens that could be deported unless it's a serious crime. Then they should do their sentence and then be deported. But what would actually transpire if this passes the Senate veto proof?
Well, again, you're asking me to do some fortune telling here, but I would say that you are never going to see this president do enforcement. So what it means is there will be no amnesty going forward, because there's no funding for that. So all of these people that they're hiring will get to go home, and there will be no processing. And the people who have renewed their DACA, remember it was for a 2-year period, they just renewed that last year. They will have through the end of next year, or whenever their time frame is up, to finish out. But then at that point, from then on, they would be eligible to be deported. And of course, we know who they are, we know where they are, so that would be pretty simple to find them in order to deport them. But it's going to take somebody actually doing enforcement, and I see this president continuing, and the people he's put in places to head up these agencies are not people who are going to do what they're actually being paid to do either. So I think it's going to take a 2016 new president.
Yeah, I agree. So now,
enforcement.
So if this would pass and the rule of law would be paramount and the American citizen would be put first over an illegal alien once again, and we would really start getting serious about this, what I really don't know what's going to happen with, like, say, for example, California, who's handing out driver's license to illegal aliens who have been, in their own language, who can't pass the test. But what would happen then with the lawlessness of giving illegal aliens' driver's license, could we then pull that back?
Well, don't forget now what the way they're doing it in the state of California is actually legal because those licenses have to look different than regular licenses. So the state has the right to grant licenses to illegal aliens if they want to. But all of their other licenses have to meet real ID, and if they don't, then the people in California aren't going to be able to get on airplanes or go into federal buildings. So,
California is a tough one. Yeah.
I was just there again last week. I went into a DMV and I got the applications that they're giving to the illegal aliens. They asked me if I wanted it in Spanish or English. I said both. I took both of them. Ruthie, I have them. And all they are asking, it goes, tell us something about you, your name, your address. Have you ever applied for a state identification in any other name before? That's all the information they're asking. Not where have you come from, where are you working, what are you, nothing. There is no personal identifying information about these people. On the back of the English application, it talks all about you must be giving us all of this information, and the penalties for not doing it properly, and all about confidentiality, blah blah blah. On the back of the Spanish application, it's nothing but information on how to register a vote.
You have got to be kidding me.
I'm not kidding you. I have it in my possession. So this is nothing more than a democratic marketing technique to get more people registered to vote.
Now, why in the hell do the Republicans not get...
Because the Republicans are not in a majority, they are in a super minority in the state of California.
But,
they
an American hero, Senator Jeff Sessions, why are this is my big problem with all of this. You and I have talking points we could say in our sleep. This is what we do. We know what's going on. A simple thing. Fund DHS and not amnesty. Problem solved. You can say that in 6 words. Why is it that the Republican Party, even just those that stand with us, do not stand up there and inform the American public of what you just said about the back of that Spanish form? That is just utterly disgusting.
It is. And I'm scanning it. I mean, nobody's seen it. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody in Washington, D.C. knows except my office when I informed them yesterday that I have these in my possession because I just picked them up last Thursday.
Please send that to me. I will splatter this everywhere and call.
I'll scan fronts and backs and I'll email them to you tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. I just it's so hard to wrap your mind around what is truly happening. It's unbelievable. And the terrible part is that the majority of the American citizenry listens to the biased media pushing an agenda, and they have no clue of what really is transpiring.
No, and again, it's taken all of us, you, me, the people who are really in this issue, years and years and years to be able to fully understand the far-reaching ramifications and how this issue actually gets in and has an impact on every aspect of our life: education, healthcare, welfare, roads, schools, jobs. Go right down the list. And again, we could spend hours telling. I can make people's hair curl literally by telling them just things I found out in the last month that are going on. But the message that we have to tell these people tonight is we need your support. We need you to make phone calls to that Senate. This has to be done. This is step number 1. It is far from over. There is so much more that has to be done. Illegal immigration has corrupted every aspect of our life in this nation. And until we start pushing back and demanding enforcement of our laws, we don't need new laws, Ruthie. We need the laws we have enforced.
Exactly.
And until we do that, this corruption creep is going to continue to the point that this nation no longer looks anything like the nation we once knew.
Yep, it's no longer the American dream, it's the lawless dream, and the Americans are paying the price for it, both financially and with our lives. But we have 2 minutes left here, 3. First of all, again, thank you so very much for being my guest. It's always so nice to have you on because I can ask you a question and, it's wonderful to have you on. Thank you for being my guest. What I'm going to do is give you the last couple minutes here. And if you would give your website again, how people can get a hold of you. I look very forward, very, very, very much to the fair email on those forms. I am, you can't make this stuff up. Mind-boggling.
I know. And sometimes I just feel like I'm in Never Never Land.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, and I'll let you give you a minute or two here, and then we'll close out.
Okay, well, thanks so much for having me, Ruthie. It's always a pleasure to be with you, and I appreciate all that you do because we need more Americans fighting this battle. It's going to take all of us to get it fixed. And so please, there's lots of information. We've got lots of research that we've done, lots of cost analysis for your state. You can find it at www.fairus.org, fairus.org. Feel free, you can find my contact information on the website as well. You can email me at stully, Tully, at fairus.org. That's stully at fairus.org. And if there's anything that, information that you need that we've covered here tonight, I'd be happy to send it to you. So please just send me an email or call my office. Ruthie, thanks again for having me, and I will get you those forms tomorrow.
Thank you. I am shocked. There's not much that shocks me anymore in this, but that shocked me. It really did. All right. Well, thank you very much, Susan Tully from the Federation for American Immigration Reform, for being our guest. We will get that out. Please do go to the website. And with that, I would like to bid everybody an adieu. Remember, next week on the Ruthie Report, we have James Johnson from NC Fire on their monthly reports of sexual rape and assaults on our children just in the state of North Carolina, just for the state itself, just children, and just at the hands of illegal aliens, and it will appall you. So, with that, good night, and we will see you next week.